So I'm very fortunate that I happen to have all sorts of generations on my team, both Gen Z, millennials, even some Gen X. It's really been a privilege actually to manage and work with a lot of Gen Zs. I think they're incredibly authentic in the way they approach work. They have very clear and direct boundaries. They also have a sense of self that's very rare. And I think when you think about all those things, motivating them means you must understand all those fundamentally about them, because that also represents our customers. And for me, that comes with being able to understand that directness is not rudeness, that that their boundaries are about them being able to prioritize themselves as they've grown up. Number three is that really being heard is most important to them. Whether it's a complaint about management, it's a complaint about the workspace, it's a complaint about you, letting be heard and giving a lot of context as to decision making, I think is probably one of the best ways to lead with them. One great example I have is when I first started this job, I actually did what I call a vulnerability offsite. I actually went and asked people to really share who they were, to come from a place of authenticity, which led to a lot of crying and to a lot of emotional moments. But I think that in that situation, being able to really share who you are makes the Gen Z individual who is very critical and very aware to really understand you as a person and to better say, why should I work for this person? Why do I want to follow them? I think that's something that leaders these days find really challenging, is that most people aren't going to follow you because they have to earn the hours, they have to earn the badge. They will follow you because they believe in your vision, your mission, and that also you stand for something that matches to what they care about. Ooh, that's a great one. I have this question that we ask with a lot of marketers. I think there's some marketers who I call do a lot of level one, where they just try to sort of think of Gen Z as one homogeneous population, say, oh, I must do a marketing campaign that has X value, that has Y kind of representation, that has kind of Z message. I think what's really important is to first think through, what are the values of your own company? Like, what do you guys prioritize? And then look at what Gen Z actually cares about and find where it matches. Because oftentimes, some of those things may not necessarily be in concert, or they don't actually map and overlay to each other. I think what's the biggest mistake any marketer can make is to pander and just say, look, we must do this kind of campaign because that's what they're all expecting, versus, hey, here's a campaign that we want to do that says a lot about who we are as a business, what our mission and vision is. And it has to happen that there's a commonality about what Gen Z cares about. The example I'll share with you is that when I first came to my job, I saw all the photography with a lot of user-generated content. As someone who came from a very heavily branded role in American Express, where everything was about aspiration, luxury, every photo was edited, I was so shocked to see the amount of content that we have that was basically UGC, that was very raw, a little messy, very authentic. And I realized that that's what this company is about. It's representing people in their homes, representing people as they are, and making that part of our brand is something I need to continue to honor. That instead of coming in with my perceptions about how stylized the images should be, what aspiration looks like, I needed to understand the business at the core level so that I could honor that work and make sure that we continue to attract new customers without alienating the old ones. And so I think that's an example that's a great way to think about how do you sort of merge what your company's values are, what's important to you as a business, to think about then how to attract Gen Z, because so many people fail where they want to spout the mission, but when it comes to actually walking the walk, they often fail on that. I would say one is critical. The second I would say is informed. And the third I would say is sensitive, but in that they feel a lot about the world around them. Not so much in an empathetic way, but they're just sensitive to other people's issues and situations. I think all those three things are incredibly wonderful traits to have, and that being able to lead Gen Z marketers is to me honestly like an honor, just because to be able to meet those who have such confidence coming out and saying, you're lucky to have me. I mean, that's a very different attitude that I had growing up versus I was like, I'm just lucky to be here. What I want to maybe typically say, which I've probably said many times before, is to have either a growth mindset or an innovator mindset. What I actually think is more important these days is to have what I call become a lateral thinker, which is the idea of understanding where you want to go, but how you get there is lots of squiggly lines, a lot of chutes and ladders. I think training people to think that way, of like knowing where they want to go and then letting the pieces fall and figure things out, is a muscle that most people don't have. They often want to see the path laid out before them, or they want to understand like what are the pluses and minuses and the puts and takes. Whereas I think right now, in a world where so many things are changing, we know what we want. How we get there is really a challenge, whether it's measurement, budgets, resourcing. So to be a lateral thinker where you know where you want to go, I think is very important as a marketing leader these days, because it helps people anchor towards something, even in the face of so much uncertainty, as well as so much unknowns.